So let me actually ask you a question. So there's a saying in Chinese, when you're too rigid, you become brittle. When you're too flexible, then you don't have a backbone, right? So again, for me, I'm a middleweight guy. So somewhere in the middle, so that can be both strong as well as resilient. What we had just talked about is the structure to have strength, to have that spine. So can you share with us a little bit about how you remain flexible and resilient so then you're not fixated locally, have a local maximization, rather you're still open and in flow. I know that you mentioned about your evening 1 hour of silence. So that's one practice. Are there other practices that allows you to be flexible and resilient and be in flow?
Yeah, you listen to yourself throughout the day. It comes back to feeling, right? A lot of people in business say, take the feeling out, focus on the tasks at hand. I don't think so. I used to do that in investment banking. I did not like myself particularly much without really listening to myself. And to me, it's all about, again, living a congruent life. So what I have described to you is a very regimented process. But that regimented process, right? Life is all about yin and yang. And you've said that too, right? So on the one hand, you've got the regimented process. On the other hand, you've got the feminine side of you that is always going to want more flexibility and more flow, right? You have to listen to both of them throughout the day. And so in my case, part of the reason why I like to review my goals on a daily basis is because I may not particularly want to do anything during that day, but I'm making a conscious decision of doing that because my flow side is saying to me, hang on, you overly crazy structured person. I need help today, right?
Yeah.
So there's that daily interaction of you yourself with yourself. Also, having that structure from me on the one hand allows that true north, and then it gets juxtaposed with the other true north of, as I go through the weeks and months, some of those monthly goals will fall apart. And it's because I no longer felt that they were congruent with who I am now, today. It may have been 3 months ago, but it's not today. But I'm making a conscious decision of it rather than allowing life to drag me.
It does. So let's shift gear a little bit, because what you just mentioned I think is an important practice. I want to dive deeper there. It's the art of unlearning, the art of letting go. Because
big one.
Yeah, but a huge one. Part of suffering that I've learned from the mechanics of learning Buddhist practice from Vipassana is, suffering comes from craving something that you don't yet have, or averting something that you do have. So a huge part of it is letting go is one of those things. 2 words, easy to say, not so easy to do. So in your letting go of your goals, in your transitioning from different identities that you have, how do you practice letting go with a little bit more grace and a little bit more dignity without the drama and the suffering? How are you doing that over and over again, mind you? Yeah.
It all starts with letting go of ego.
What does that mean?
So everybody's got an ego. It can be more prevalent, less prevalent, doesn't matter. It's the whole yin and yang, right? The problem is that ego comes more from the drive and more from the masculine. And if you allow your ego to take over, then the flow and the feminine side gets shut off. And that's never a recipe for anything but disaster. And so when I look at my life, I grew up as an economist, then investment banker, also congressional staffer. As you said, when people look at my resume, they open their eyes, and I used to live in that resume. And letting go of that resume and allowing the learnings to be what drives me rather than the titles has been a very eye-opening experience.
How do you do that?
You don't allow yourself to live in the, oh my God, he's a Harvard guy, or oh my God, he's a whatever guy, or the investment banker, right? Actually, I'll give you a perfect case in point. When you walk into a conversation, you allow the conversation to flow based on the energy of the conversation, not based on the titles, not based on hierarchy, not based on I'm here because of XYZ. And that can be a difficult one for some people, right? If you've been elected senator, well, shit, you've worked hard to get that title. And so a lot of people think that I should use the fact that I'm a senator to throw my weight around. I used to believe that too. I don't anymore, although my ego sometimes does kick in. Most dealing with a bully, and I need to pull out my resume to whip them around a little bit.
Yeah.
But generally, I hate using that because it just feels icky.
Yeah.
Which brings us back to the earlier part of our conversation, which is don't allow others to make you feel anything. You yourself feel how you want. You don't allow the external world to dictate how you should feel. So if you meet somebody that's cantankerous, don't take that on yourself. If you meet somebody that is cursing you out for whatever reason, they're cursing you out because of something that's happening in their life. It has nothing to do with you, unless you believe that it does have anything to do with you. And that's a whole nother topic, right?